Good day everyone! For today, I am going to discuss all about chemical bonding. It is a formation of a chemical bond between two or more atoms, molecules, or ions to give rise to a chemical compound. But before that, let's talk about nomenclature of inorganic compounds. It is, when we say nomenclature, it is a system of names or terms, or the rules for forming or determining the names and formulas of chemical compounds. And the people behind this is the IUPAC, or IUPAC stands for International Union of Pure and Applied Chemists. This is the group that determines the official rules of nomenclature for all chemical elements and compounds. Again, chemical formula, it is a combination of element symbols and numbers that represents the composition of the compound. Take note, subscripts following an element symbol indicate how many of that particular atom are present. If no subscripts are given, that means we only have one atom present. We have here set of compounds. The first one is ammonia, composed of one atom of nitrogen and 3 atoms of hydrogen. The second one, the chemical name is thioacetone, composed of 3 atoms of carbon, 6 atoms of hydrogen, and 1 atom of sulfur. The last one, it is called, or the chemical name is tetraphosphorus dicoxide, composed of 4 atoms of phosphorus and 10 atoms of oxygen. Chemical formula, in specific, we could have molecular formula or empirical formula. When we say molecular formula, it shows the exact number of atoms of each element in the smallest unit of a substance. So we have here an illustration of the standard types of formulas and models. Molecular formula of hydrogen, we have H2. For water, we have H2O, ammonia, NH3, and methane, CH4. Also, I will just introduce to you the structural formula. But anyway, in our lesson, we will be using molecular and empirical formula. So this is the format when we are asked to give the structural formula. And for the ball and stick model, this is also the illustration, and the space filling model, somewhat like the compressed version of ball and stick model. For empirical formula, it is the simplest whole number ratio of the atoms in a substance. If we are asked to give the empirical formula, it is simply the reduced form of molecular formula. We have here example. H2O, the empirical is just the same because this is the simplest form. The second one, we have N2H4. The empirical is NH2, or the reduced term of this molecular formula. Why NH2? It's because the GCD or GCF, greatest common divisor, would be 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and no need to put 1, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So that is how we get empirical formula, just simply the reduced term of the molecular formula. The third one, we have C2H8O2. The simplest form is CH2O8. Still, the common divisor, greatest common divisor is 2. So that's why the empirical formula is this one. And the last one is C6H12O6. Now, what is the empirical formula? The answer is CH2O. The common divisor is 6 to get the reduced term. Note that different molecular compounds may have the same empirical formula. Now, chemical banding, it could be covalent band or ionic band. When we say covalent band, it is the combination of nonmetals, nonmetal plus nonmetal, or sometimes nonmetals plus metalloid, but usually it's more on nonmetals. And we are going to use these so-called prefixes. And for ionic band, it is the combination of metals and nonmetals, or cations plus anions. And ionic table will be needed for this topic. But for this lesson, we will focus first on covalent bonding. Okay, let's familiarize the prefixes. 1 is mono, 2 is di, 3 is tri, 4 is tetra, 5 is penta, 5 is penta, 6 hexa, 7 hepta, 8 octa, 9 nona, and 10 is deca. I have here the list of nonmetals. I forgot to copy those elements under metalloids because covalent bonding could be nonmetal plus metalloids. I have here the formula na N plus N, nonmetals plus nonmetals. The answer would be in 2 words. We have 2-word answer. What's the formula for our answer? P stands for prefix. This one. Prefix plus the element name, space, prefix plus the root name of the element, and always the second word ends with IDE. Again, the second word of our answer ends with IDE. So the formula, prefix plus root name plus IDE. So let's practice identifying the root name. We have here carbon, that's carbide. Carb is the root name. Nitrogen, nitride. Iodine, iodide. So we have here also phosphorus, phosphide, sulfide, bromide, fluoride. So those are the root name plus IDE of an element. Now, if we combine nonmetals, the question is, what element comes first? Is it this one or is it this one? Example, if we combine carbon and oxygen, does carbon comes first or oxygen comes first? To answer that, according to IUPAC, this is the order of elements in writing molecular formula. Whatever element combined to boron, boron should comes first in the formula. If we combine phosphorus and chlorine, phosphorus should comes first, then chlorine. If we combine carbon and iodine, carbon comes first, then iodine. So this is the order of elements that we are this is the basis. What element comes first? Take note of this ruling or exemption to the rule. Mono can't be used on the first word of our answer. And example, we have combination of carbon and nitrogen. So we can't use monocarbon. Mono can be used only on the second word. So that's carbon mononitride. Okay, mono can't be used on the first word of our answer. And lastly, if the last letter of prefix is a vowel letter, a, e, I, o, u, it is paired to oxygen, omit or remove the last letter of the prefix. So we have here example, tetra, omit the a. So, and the answer should be tetroxide. And mono plus oxide, the answer should be monoxide. So, that's according to IUPAC. Now, let's have an example. What is the chemical name of the following? C2F5. Now, input first the prefix. So, we have here di. 2 is di, remember, and 5 is penta. Now, what is C? C is carbon. Now, what is F? That is fluorine. But remember, we will just get the root name then plus IDE. So the root name of fluorine is fluor and plus IDE. Again, the second word should end with IDE. Second example, NCl. So input first, mono on the second word. We can't use mono, remember, again, we can't use mono on the first answer. So that is, the element name of N is nitrogen and Cl is chlorine and the root name is chlor plus IDE. So our answer should be nitrogen monochloride. Third example, we have H8Br10. Input the prefix octa and deca. So H is hydrogen and Br is bromine, but the root name is brom and plus IDE. Okay, so let's have second example. What is the chemical formula of the following? In the first set of example, given is the chemical formula and we are asked to give the chemical name. This time, given is the chemical name, we are asked to give the chemical formula. Triphosphorus nonoxide. So tri is 3 and nonoxide, nona, that's 9. So what's the symbol for phosphorus? That is P. And P3, and the symbol for oxygen is O, and the prefix is 9. Next example, we have hexacarbon heptaiodide. So again, carbon, symbol for C, carbon is C, and hexa is 6, so C6. Heptaiodide, iodide is I, and prefix is 7. Hepta is 7. Last example, fluorine monoxide. The answer is FO. And that ends our discussion.